Hey, what's up, guys? This is Lone for Cards again on another YouTube poker vlog. Here we're playing at the M8trix Casino in San Jose, California. It's a 1-2-3 no limit Holdem game. If you watched my last game on the poker vlog, I did play at the Stones Live Poker in Citrus Heights, California. It was a live stream. It was pretty fun. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time, and it showed some of you guys were really wondering like why am I such a passive player and things like that. Gives you an idea of like what type of player I am. It doesn't show it completely on all the hands because we only had a 4 hour session, which 4 hour session seems a lot, but usually when you play poker, you spend 8 to 12 hours playing. Like certain vlogs I'm gonna be doing, it's a long session. I don't really do short sessions because it takes me about 30 minutes to an hour to figure out all the players on the table if they are playing on the table for a pretty long time. So it gives me a good idea of how they're betting, if they're a loose player, aggressive player, tight players, things like that. So I can make certain moves and plays on those type of players. So anyways, the first hand here that we're going to discuss is the Ace of Spades, 10 of Clubs, and I'm on the cutoff. Everyone folds to me. I bet $12. The button folds, the small blind folds, and the big blind calls for 12. And the flop comes out King, Queen, Jack. So pretty much I flopped the nuts at this point, and the big blind checks to me. I fire out $25. He instant calls. So at this point, I'm like, huh, okay, what does he possibly have at this point? So the turn comes out a deuce of clubs. He checks again. Then at this point, I'm like, huh. I was sort of wondering, like, what is he on a flush draw? Because the thing about the flush draws in, and since I have a ace blocker, ace of spade blocker as the nut spade draw, San Jose players do love the flush draw. I mean, if you are from the Bay Area, you'll know what I'm talking about. People love the flush draws here. I mean, maybe just poker in general, but in San Jose, I don't know, something about San Jose water or something. They just love the flush draw. They just live and die by the flush. They'll just chase it. They'll go all in with it and things like that. So at this point, I'm debating like, what? How much should I bet this guy? Like, what? How much I have to bet for him to fold his flush draw, or or call his flush draw? So I tried to try to figure out like how much I should bet here. So I bet about $75. He thinks about it for a little bit, and then he just goes re-raises all in. And I'm like, oh my god, he actually might have a big hand here. I was like, what can he possibly have here? Like, he went all in. So then, I have to just instant call him at this point. I mean, it just took me, like if you see me how I play, all this thought goes into my process really fast. I don't like to spend a lot of time tanking and thinking about things. I like to process things a lot. So in my mind, I'm just going blah, 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 like computing really fast. Like, what does this guy possibly could have? Like, he's calling me with, but at the same time, I know I have to instant call him because I have the nuts at this point. So I call him. I call him all in, and the river comes out a 4. He quickly turns his hand over, and he had Jack 10 of spades. So then I didn't get stacked. He had about 175 or so. So I pretty much cripples me in half. So this was the first big pot that I got pretty much rimmed in. So I got wrecked pretty hard right here. All right, so this is the next hand we're going to discuss. This hand is actually the biggest. Was this the biggest pot of the night? It might have. It was probably one of the biggest pot of the night here. I was dealt with pocket sevens into the big blind. Everyone folds and goes to the dealer button, and the dealer button usually a lot of these games, if it goes all the way to the dealer button. Usually the dealer button, most of the time, will say, "Hey, you guys chop in." That way, it gives you they give you the opportunity for us to chop. So to mean to chop is that we get our blinds back, and then we just move on to the next hand. So the guy in the dealer button asks, "Hey, you guys can chop?" And I say, "Yeah, I always chop." And the small blind says, "No, I don't chop," which is sort of weird to me because he did chop before, but all of a sudden now he doesn't want to chop. So I'm like, okay, he must have a super big hand. So then he fires out $15. And I look up at pocket sevens. And I'm like, "You sure you don't want to chop?" I give him an option. "You sure you don't want to chop?" He said, "No, I'm not chopping." And I'm like, "I'm only gonna win like $3, or I'm gonna call you and try to stack you." That was my mind thinking, and I actually just called him here just because of spite more than anything. Even with pocket sevens, it's pretty good to call, no matter what. If it's a raised hand at other area, so I give him a call, and the flop comes out favorable for me, 5-6 queen, and I hit a set. He bets out 35. I instant call. Turn is a 8. He pushes all in. I instant call. River comes out a deuce. He quickly opens up his hand of pocket kings, and I showed him the sevens set, and I stack him for all his money. So this is a good lesson. Like, if you're in a situation of chopping, even if you have a big hand like pocket kings, sometimes you just gotta let it go. Is it really worth it to gamble to win $3? To win my $3, or win the big blind $3, or just muck it and just move on to the next one. So that's a really good lesson. I always chop no matter what. Even if I have pocket aces in the big blind, I always say, "You chopping?" And if I have pocket aces, I'll show them, "Hey, this is what I have pocket aces." So this is something that a lot of poker players do. But there's people that's greedy like him. Sometimes they want to play it out and win that extra $3 or whatever. So this was this hand. So I doubled up. I think it was like a 300. I had about 350 behind. So I put my chips up to around 700 or so. All right, let's review the next hand here. I come up with, this is my only big pocket pairs I think I had the entire day. So I roll up with pocket kings into on the button. It folds all the way to the cutoff. The cutoff makes it $8, which is a really small bet since there's no other callers. $8 is actually, decent size. Like I said, 8 to 12. Usually 15 is pretty more of a bet that I've been seeing. But since he bet $8, I have pocket kings. I usually bet a little bit more, but I figured, hey, I only got the small and the big blind left, so I'm probably gonna go heads up with this guy. So I just 3-bet to 20. The small blind looks at his cards. He thinks about it for a little bit, and then he starts stacking chips. I'm like, "Oh, what is this guy? Must have something too." So he stacked up the chips, and he 4-bets to 50, and I was like, "Whoa, wow, okay." And I haven't really seen him play too much because he's pretty new to the table, so I don't know how he's playing. I just figure, he's a San Jose player and they're all crazy, so I was like, whatever. He might just make a play with anything, pretty much, with $50. Then he goes back to the cutoff guy that initially made the $8 bet, and he's actually, I've been playing with him pretty much the entire day, and he's been playing pretty straightforward. He plays, I don't say he's super tight, but he plays, premium hands and things like that. But then for him to make a call from $8 initial bet to 50, that's really huge. So that means he has to have a really big premium hand, I have to say. So he ends up making the call. So now I have a debate here. I'm like, oh, should I have make a 5-bet here? And if you make a 5-bet, everybody knows, if in poker, if you make a 5-bet, you have aces or kings, right? So am I gonna 5-bet here and just take this down? But then again, these are crazy players. They might call me, whatever I bet on the 5-bet. So I was like, they might even just call in with a limp ace or something, a weak ace, or just any random cards. So they said, let me just play the flop. Let me just try to play the hand out, and that way, it gives me an option to fold on the flop if I can if I'm not really invested in this hand too much. So anyways, I just make the call, make the $50 call. Then the flop comes out, pretty interesting board here. Comes out Queen Jack 3 and 3 of hearts. So 2 diamonds, 3 of hearts, goes to the small blind, and the small blind pushes all in for $75. That's all he had. He had $75 behind. So he 3-bet or 4-bet with $50, and he had 75 behind. So he pushes all in. The cutoff it's to him, and he looks at it. He doesn't take too long. He makes the call. He makes a $75 card. So, like I said, he's pretty straightforward. So if he makes a call, then I figure that he has a queen for sure. Maybe a jack. Putting him on a flush draw, like I told you, flush draws, man. San Jose people love the flush draw, so I don't know if he could be going for a flush if he's just smooth calling here with $75. And I didn't put him on a flush draw. I put him on ace queen or ace jack. Maybe he has a super big hand, maybe pocket queens or pocket jacks, but there's no way he played pocket jacks. I mean pocket queens, because if he had pocket queens there, he would have probably 4-bet it or 5-bet it. When he got raised to 50. So, but jacks or set of jacks or set of threes is not out of the possibility. Maybe queen jack, which I really doubt. But then again, it is San Jose. So at this point, I know the cutoff had about 300 behind, and I was trying to figure out, what kind of value bet this? Maybe if he'll call, or maybe he might fold. Maybe I'm not sure, but the pot's so big right now already. I don't know how he can not call at this point. So then I re-raised $100, so bet 175 with the initial all-in with a small blind. Then he instantly just called. I was like, wow, he instantly called this, and it sort of like surprised me. I'm like, okay, well maybe he's playing me right now. I'm the sucker right now. So so the turn comes out a 5 of hearts. And as soon as the 5 of hearts came, it took him no time, and he just pushed all in. He just fired into the bet. He went all in. And I played really fast. Didn't I tell you this guy was a pretty straightforward guy? So I'm like, well, he must have a set or something. I don't know. I don't know what he could have done to push this. So all this stuff is going through my mind. I'm like, we have a side pie auction going on. I'm like, what can possibly have? So, I instant call him because, I play really fast, and I call, but at the same time, when I was instant calling him, I was thinking like, wow, what is this guy pushing with? Like, it's really weird. So the river comes out. It's a brick, 2 of spades. So then it's a showdown because we have a side pot. The guy to the cutoff, surprisingly, he showed ace queen of hearts. So as you can see that he had the top pair, and he had a flush draw, and he pushed it all in on the flush draw. And then I took the side pot down, and it goes to the main pot. The main pot guy had ace king of diamonds. So he saw the diamond draw, he pushed all in. Even though he didn't hit, he just had the outs. Like I told you, San Jose love their flushes. They push all in. But luckily I did dodge both hearts on the turn, and on the flop and the turn. Kings held up amazingly. I don't know how it amazingly held up, but that's how that went.